This is King Rex coming at you with another Euchre video. This is a rebuttal of this video called Stop Ordering from Seat 3. Basically, the guy doesn't think you should order from Seat 3 except in the most extreme of conditions for the most part. I disagree, so I'm going to rebuttal the points he makes.
2 of Debo Euchre. Today's topic is going to be ordering the dealer from Seat 3 and why I think most players are doing it way too much, and really only when we get to the very top end of players am I seeing Seat 3 played correctly.
I have to disagree, unless it's a person that orders the same no matter what seat they're in. People that realize that you need to order less from Seat 3 or with better hands tend to not order enough. I think people are overestimating the hands they need to have to order from Seat 3. So I'm actually on the other side here.
Last episode, I kind of tried to take a nuanced subject and make it really simple. This one, I'm going to try to get into a little more nuance a little later on in the video. So right now, we're going to start out with the very simple scenario, which is when we're looking at a right bower to our opponent. This is the most simple do not order there is, just because if you put one other trump in the dealer's hands, they're probably going to pick this up anyway.
That does make sense. There's a high likelihood they will pick it up anyway. And this is a hand also where he's actually pretty good. He's got an offsuit ace here. So unless diamonds is called, there's a good chance that ace takes a trick. He's good in next. Can't depend on your partner calling next, but they could go next. They pick it up. You got 3 clubs. So this actually is a pretty good hand here, but you also can't depend on you getting to call next on a hand like this because it probably isn't making it back to you. If he doesn't have clubs and he doesn't go next, he's probably calling something red. And by luck of the draw, it probably is diamonds. So your ace of diamonds gets sucked out as a trump. It gets beat out by one of the jacks, and you probably don't take a single trick. Just how it tends to work.
So you really, the risk reward of getting euchred versus getting a euchre, none of it makes any sense to order a hand like this. Even with
that's the way to look at it from first seat because you can go next. If they call it, you might euchre them. If they don't call it, you get first choice. Third seat, you rarely get the choice that you want. So I sort of disagree with the I thought process now, being that it was the right bower on top of the kitty, they're more likely to order. But if that's not the right bower, say that was the ace or the king setting up with this hand that you have, I'd say you probably should order this hand in that situation. But the right bower does make a difference because people really don't want to pass that. Plus, you actually are good in other suits here. Or if it was a situation where you're not good at anything else, I could see ordering the right.
with an off ace, we're still not ordering this unless it's 9-9. If it's 9-9, then we do. But all other scores, we're not ordering here. It just doesn't make any sense.
Makes sense if you have nothing else. If you have a really bad hand otherwise, say you only had that jack of spades and your spades hand wouldn't have been all that great, maybe and you don't have an ace of diamonds or an ace of diamonds is good no matter what, maybe you do order in that situation.
Okay, well, this next one runs, I want to go over my simple rule that I run to help me make my decisions from seat 3. We want to be really quick because you don't want to give away a pause and tip off anyone at the table.
They go alone here. So yeah, if you order into a loner, you're probably going to get euchred. It's a loner. So yeah, so that's an extreme example.
Well, that we might have some strength. So my quick little mental trick, and a lot of my mental tricks are just getting me to fall into the correct EV decisions. And by EV, I mean just like when we run these hands through the computer, they'll tell you what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing.
The problem with this is when you run the simulators, they can be wrong because they're based 100% on how they're programmed. And I've seen some pretty wacky things come out. In fact, one of the people that has one of these simulators ran them. Ran a hand where 13 had 4 jacks and the ace of the turned up card. And it passed no matter what, regardless of score. If you're sitting on 9 points, you got a sure point in your hand, you call it no matter what. Unless you're sitting where you're at, like, say, maybe 9 to, or you're losing 8-9, or it's tied 8-8, you should probably call that anyway. So the simulators are not infallible. They are programmed by humans, and they do weird things that don't make sense sometimes. So the whole idea of trusting the simulators 100%, like they can't ever make a mistake, they can't ever be wrong. They do depend on everyone playing exactly how the simulators think they should play. They're a tool, but they're not infallible. I would actually say that you can't just 100% base everything on the simulators.
With somewhat accuracy, and a lot of these tricks I run, they're just to help me land in that zone. So,
This guy had the other four trump. The chances of you having three and him having the other four is 1.2%. So you can't make your decisions based on something that happens 1.2% of the time.
so my mental trick here is if I wouldn't consider picking this hand up alone or ordering this hand alone, then I need to seriously consider not ordering at all. In a lot of hands, in any scenario really in Euchre, if you switch out a card or two, make yourself too suited or not, there's a gap.
Another loner too.
Between just an order and a loner. And I think from seat 3, that gap is extremely narrow. There's not that many hands or cards you can switch around that are going to change a seat 3 order and a loner. There's just no room there. So I just decide, hey, if I'm not willing to go alone here, then I'm probably going to pass it.
That's a terrible way to call from seat 3. If you have Jack, Jack, Ace, which is a guaranteed point, and bad offsuit, say you're 3 suited, and you have nothing but 9 center kings down there in your offsuits. 9 tens and queens. You should not be going alone on that if you're 3 suited and because you're going to get caught in one of those suits, especially in third seat. Does that mean you should pass or need to call it and get your point? Let them have whatever point they want. That's a bad standard. So I disagree with that one. And plus, look at the hands he did. He did 2 hands where you euchred the guy because you passed, which if you call, you do cost yourself a point, but you can't depend on always getting the point. And 2 hands where they had a loner. If you'd have called both of those loners up to him, you would have given them 4 points instead of 5 points. So technically speaking, in those situations, you'd have been better off just calling it. You'd have saved the point in those 2 hands. That's an EV that's better, and based on the hands he's picked or on his cherry picked hands.
Unless I have no choice. And we'll get into the subtlety of that a little bit later. Sometimes you have to. But the best scenarios are when you don't have to. And that really makes some great setups. Okay, let's get into some subtlety now. On this next hand, seat 3 orders me with 3 trump and no bowers. Obviously, I think that's a mistake.
Well, it depends on what his rest of his hand looks like. If you have 3 trump and no bowers, and you're not good in the other suits, maybe that's the only suit he's good in, right? Maybe he's only good in spades. Maybe he's got 2 low hearts over there or 2 low diamonds, and his hand's not going to do anything unless spades is trump. It makes sense to order in that situation.
It's the whole theme of the episode. But here's the reason that I think this lesson's not being learned, and even by relatively strong players. It's really only at the very tip top that people are playing this correctly. And the reason is it's not intuitive. Seat 3 gets rewarded here with a point, and I don't think seat 3's even realizing that he actually lost a point, that he cost his team a point, because I was picking that up anyway.
You're picking it up because you have the right bower here. If this jack was, first off, your chances of having another trump card here to go with that king is like 17%. That means there's a 1 in 6 chance. Actually, oh no, wait a minute, that's more than that because it's 2 trump is 17%. But yeah, you have the jack. What if you had, say, the king and the queen? What if this wasn't a jack? What if this was whatever offsuit card he didn't have? Let's say he had queen 10 9. Let's say that's what he ordered on the worst possible. And you have the ace here, ace king. You're not picking up ace king there. Most people aren't doing that. Yeah, I've even seen people pass right king in this situation because they don't trust this ace when it's in a tripleton. Now you shouldn't, but it happens. But he doesn't know you have the right bower in your hand. He doesn't know that. And with this, like he showed the earlier examples because they all went his way. This example he doesn't show. He should have showed this hand to us so we could see what happens. We could examine the hand better if we actually got to see the whole thing. We don't get to see it. This is anecdotal evidence that, yeah, this guy ordered when I had the right, I would have picked it up anyway, and he still got his point. That doesn't mean he made a bad call. That just means that, yeah, he would have got an extra point this time, but maybe if he passes and you pass, maybe they get Euchre because his partner calls next automatically. You got a good next hand. He might have zero in next because he doesn't have any jacks. And maybe this guy's only got like 10 king and he gets just destroyed next. He leads out his 10. Lo and behold, this guy has a jack of clubs. You can toss your king off. So you got your jack of spades. It's good. And if you're, let's say somehow hearts gets led and he has a heart and you don't have any trump, you take it with the ace, lead out the left, and whoops, he's been euchred rather than scored a point. Who knows? I mean, you can't say, well, it worked this time, but I would have called anyway, so it's a bad call.
And there's a lot of scenarios that are like that where we'll be rewarded for a bad decision and think that it was a good decision, and then there's times where you make a good decision and you're punished for it, so you're thinking it's a bad decision.
I agree with that position that, yeah, you can be punished for good decisions and rewarded for bad decisions, but we don't even know this guy's hand to see if he made a bad decision. All we know is he's got 3 trump and he scored a point having 3 trumps, so it doesn't sound like a bad decision to me. Generally speaking, 3 trumps worth calling. Yeah, order from third seat puts a little of that into question, but we don't know. We don't know what the rest of his hand was. So it's hard to say he made a bad decision when you don't show us what went behind that decision.
There's a level of luck involved in euchre, and it's something that we struggle with, but the computers don't. When we run these hands through simulations, there's no emotion involved. And so I'm going to get into another hand that I found that
Yeah, the computers have no emotions, but these aren't AI computers. They're not learning. They're just doing what they're programmed to do. So if the programming is bad, or if someone knows better, then the computer's wrong. I've seen these computers be wrong.
I think is pretty cool, and I think it'll surprise some people to see that it's actually a hand we should be passing. So here's a hand that I had tested and actually does come up as a hand we should pass.
No, you should call that hand every
time. It looks a
time.
little bit insane to pass a hand with right, left, king. But if you look deeper into the hand, you'll start to see why. And this is some more advanced stuff here. So if we order this, the ace of spades is going to be sitting behind us. We really can't ever trump in on anything unless we trump in with one of our bowers.
What if, let's say that clubs alone leads to king of hearts. Ocean follows suit. You follow suit. He has the ace of hearts. Guess where the ace of spades is no longer at? It's no longer behind it. Let's say he leads a diamond. Diamond to diamond. You can trump in with your king. Jack, jack, you have your point. So because ace of spades is behind you on the first trick doesn't mean it's behind you on all the tricks. Beyond that, anything short of jack, jack, ace, let's say you pass, he passes, he calls clubs. Well, you can't trump in with this 10 of clubs by the same logic because he could have a higher club than that, right? That's possible. That's the same thought process. At least now you know he has the ace. If it's clubs, you don't know what clubs he's got in his hands. So his logic is not working. Plus, you have a partner that can get a trick for you, too. I mean, you have 2 tricks guaranteed, a very probable third trick, and a partner.
Otherwise, that ace could go over our king at any moment because the dealer's going to be short suiting. So anytime we decide to trump in with the king, we're going to be taking a real risk. So you almost have to trump in with a bower. Then you're going to have to throw off one of your other two, either your jack of hearts or your 10 of clubs. This is a hand that's really primed to score 1 point for us. If
scoring a point's a good thing, passing and giving up a point is a bad thing.
We don't get euchred. And when we ran this through the simulation, surprisingly, you get euchred a lot. It's actually not quite 1 in 10 times.
So basically, it's less than 10% of the time you get euchred. But let's mathematically figure that out. If you call it 10 times, you make it 9 times, you score at least 9 points. That's not taking into account where, you get a march because your partner leads a spade. Derek only had 1 spade. You put the jack on, you take the ace out. He's got no more spades. Or your partner, maybe your partner has the aces for your offsuit or something. Or maybe then you lead your jack of hearts. He's got the ace. Your partner has the ace and king of hearts. all the rest of trump are in your hand because you cleaned 3 trump out and one was sitting in the bottom of the kitty or whatever, and maybe you get a march there. So you score at least 9 points. You only give up 2 points. So you're scoring a net of at least 7 points, worst case scenario out of every 10 hands. Actually, a little bit more because it's not even a 10% Euchre rate, as he said. That means this hand's got an EV of 0.7. If you look at hands that you don't go alone on, having an EV of zero point 0.7 is a pretty good EV. You should be calling that every single time. If you can get a hand through 90% of the time, you should be calling that every single time. There's no deeper thinking there. That's just logic and math.
You're going
Let's
to get
try not
euchred.
to get too cute with it.
There's no guarantees here. You're guaranteed
No,
2 tricks, but the rest are up in the air because you're
okay, there's no guarantees here. Remember that. Remember that statement. There's no guarantees here. You could get
putting
euchre.
that ace behind your in the dealer's hand with a short suit right behind you. Now let's look deeper into the hand. What if we pass? Well, if we've got a great partner, that's really cool because they'll call clubs.
You can't guarantee that. You've got both jacks and a third clubs. There's only 4 clubs floating around out there. Maybe they don't have clubs. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. You can't guarantee they'll call clubs. A lot of people aren't going to call clubs if they don't have one in their hand or if they only have one, unless they got some aces and stuff. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. You can't guarantee that. You can't bank on that.
Often enough that's even better because now our king of spades is the highest spade because the ace of spades would be going down in this scenario, and then we're really looking at a march. We're going to get
Okay, but here's the issue though. If clubs is called, there's only 5 spades left. The ace of spades is gone. You have the king. That means there's only the queen, the 10, and the 9. Those are the types of cards that people slough off. Plus, if this guy's passing the ace, he has at most 1 spade in his hand. He might not even have one. The chance where the most spades are, believe it or not, are in your partner's hand because neither one of these guys wanted spades. Granted, you have the jacks, but what if he leads the queen of spades at some point? You have to follow with the king, and one of these 2 guys trumps you. That's possible. You can't depend on a short spades, especially when it's next and it's missing a card out of it off the top. That's a short suit. There's only 4 9 suit left. You can't depend on that. You can't depend on all these guys having at least 1 spade or hand for it to walk.
2 points. So I see a scenario where if we pass, we get 2 points.
But you're not guaranteed for your partner calling next. You're not guaranteed to get all 5 tricks. The best case scenario is going to happen. Thinking not the best case scenario is just the best case scenario. You're more likely if your partner calls next that you get 1. That's the most likely scenario. If your partner calls next, if.
Also, with a hand like this, we've got the jack of hearts in our hand, and so if our partner does decide to call a red suit here, we're still useful. We've got a bower, and we've got the highest spade in our hand now. We have to look at the entire hand. Now the king of spades is the highest spade. So if he does call, say he calls hearts, we've got another marching chance because
Yeah, if he calls hearts, you could lead hearts, and you could take your jack and put the king out there and hope against hope that it makes it. Remember, still a short suit. What if he calls diamonds and leads a jack of diamonds? Or if he calls diamonds and he doesn't have the jack of diamonds, but Ocean has the jack of diamonds and he leads a diamond because he called diamonds because he has 3 low diamonds. So he leads, say, the queen of diamonds or the king of diamonds. He throws the jack of diamonds out. You throw the jack of hearts out. He throws now. Not only did you not take a trick, your opponent's got a trick with that. And let's say spades never gets led in his hands. What if he's got jack ace of diamonds over here? He's got king, queen, 10. Let's say he's got some offsuit ace somewhere in his hand too. He was going to call diamonds. Now you're getting euchred rather than probably scoring a point. You can't depend on that king. That king is not a strong king. That's like having ace, 10, 9 in your hand or something of a green suit. You can't count on that for a trick. It's a nice card, but it's a very weak boss card.
if he leads trump, which I would expect, we're going to take the first trick and then be able to follow up with a boss king, and hopefully our partner will recognize that king is the highest card, although sometimes they don't. So I don't want everyone just going out there and passing every single time they're in seat 3. We've got to look at the whole of the hand.
Even if one of these is a jack, let's say it's 10 of spades, jack of clubs, or 10 of clubs, jack of spades, I'm still calling this. His thought process is, well, if they call black, they can get us. That's why he would call this. He's not calling this offensively as he should do with right ace queen over to 10. He's calling it because he's afraid that it'll pass to one of these guys and they have a loner in black. That's why he would let him have a point. He just won't let him have the 2. He thinks, but he won't score the point for himself. You got to call this, even if you are decent over here.
And in this case, we don't have any of the same versatility or tricks that previous hand had. We're not promoting anything to boss.
You're not promoting anything to boss in the other one. You have the boss spade in the other hand. If you pass this, you have the boss ace, which is slightly weaker, but you're still looking at 2 in the wild instead of 3 in the wild. You're still weak. You still can't count on them. Can't count on a heart here like you couldn't count on a spade on the last one.
Really aren't that strong in the next suit. If they were to call diamonds, all we've got is a left.
Once again, if they call diamonds on the last hand, all you have is a left, too. But remember, that jack was not weak when he wanted to pass, but when he wants to call, it is weak. The same jack. Having a short boss card is strong when he wants to pass. When he wants to call, having a strong boss card is not a good card to have. He's doing this very anecdotally, and he's making his decisions fit the decision he wants to make. He's making his reasoning fit his decisions rather than making his reasoning than seeing what decision he should make. He's basically looking at both these hands completely differently from the opposite one.
Our ace of hearts is going to be extremely weak because look at all these hearts that are going to be being off the board. That ace of hearts really isn't going to have a great chance to run.
Exactly.
So
like
this hand, we really just have to order.
But he looks at having to order because it's
same thing with this hand. We don't have the tricks. We aren't promoting anything to boss.
But his reasoning says there's not a jack here. That's why. That's why he's not ordering. Notice he didn't play a lot of these hands which he should have played all of them out rather than just the ones that really worked in his favor. I'm betting you some of these hands did not work in his favor, so he didn't play them out.
I mean, if our partner wanted to order next here, that'd be great, but we can't really bank on that with how strong we are.
Notice you could bank on him order next on the other hand, though, when you had the blackjacks with one red jack, but this one you can't. That's what I'm saying. This is the issue with his thought process. His thought process, he makes his decision first and fits his thought process into it instead of going through his thought process and seeing if his decision fits with it. He's going backwards.
This one's just a simple order. We don't have the jack and the other suit to go with. Just got to keep it simple here. This one's an order.
It's only not ordered because he doesn't have a blackjack. That's all those last two were.
All right. Last but not least, if I was going to pull out a deck of cards and lay them out to try to make my point, this is the hand I would lay out, and I got it live in game.
I would call that.
This one's my favorite. I don't know what the simulation would say, and I don't know if I care. This one's just a beauty.
Well,
so
it wouldn't matter because you make
I'm promoting my king to boss if this goes down. I'm getting a chance to euchre him.
Once again, now when it was ace plus 2 in his hand on the last hand, you can't do that. But it's the same thing. It's just you got the king instead of the ace. That heart's still just as bad. Granted, he is better here in black. He does have a club here. He's got the black suits blocked, which is why he would pass. But this king is no better than the ace in the previous one, where it was the ace down here and the king up here. It was basically the same hand. He's making his reasoning fit his decision, not his decision fit his reasoning.
If the dealer decides to pick this up, and I'm good in all the other suits.
You can't expect
my weakest would be next, but even if they call next, I've got 2 other boss cards. I've got the king of hearts and I've got the ace of clubs.
I do agree that the 2 boss cards helps if they go next, but once again, he's playing more defensively than offensively. He's hoping his partner's got a really good hand.
I'm just useful all around. This is just such a beautiful hand. And here's the point that I think I really want to hammer home with this. Right here, there's 4 hearts on the board. We're not playing with a full deck.
We've got
a full deck
words to say
in euchre, and we've got 4 hearts that we're going to take off the board if this goes down.
Yet the king is a good boss card to have, remember.
What's the card distribution going to be like for our partner who's going to be the first one to act if this goes down?
Well, you don't have any nines or tens, so he could have some nines and tens over there. You only have one queen, so maybe he's got some queens over there. There's going to be two of the four aces gone, two of the four jacks gone. So, like, he could have a really bad hand over there, right? Couldn't he? You could have no jacks, you could have no aces, you could have a bunch of nines and tens, and Mike Jojo could have a hand where you're not going to score two, but he scores one. If he calls diamonds and let's say he leads a club, he trumps it, you have to put your ace on there, and he throws out the jack of diamonds, your jack's gone. There's a good chance hearts are never even led in a hand like that. And if they are, there's a good chance gets hit, and you could basically give up 2 points right there by letting him call rather than calling your hand at probably scores a point, right? Because you still have a good boss card, and you'd have three good trump cards if you order.
When you see this many hearts, the chances of our partner having something strong or three of something or really a great hand, it's increased in its likelihood.
So I'm
It's
having
like
a
a
terrible
stack
hand of
deck in
nines and
blackjack.
tens.
Like they've got multiple decks in the shoe, and the people who count cards, they're counting these cards to get like the smallest of edges, like a 51% edge, 52%. We've got a half a deck we're playing with here, and I'm taking four hearts out of it. Our partner has a great chance to have something strong, and they're the first one to act, and that's the key to a lot of these hands I'm willing to pass, because our partner, we're counting on our partner, is the first one to get to decide what to do. And
He's counting on his partner having a good hand, so he's passing a good hand. That's his logic.
and I
What
just
if they
love
don't
this
have a
hand so
good
much,
hand?
uh, because right here we win our team some points because our partner does what needs doing, and
Because your
this is what you
partner's
miss out on when you take the chance. You're going to take the chance of getting euchred here with that ace above your king queen, or you can pass and just let your partner go,
your chance getting
and
Euchre's not very strong. Once
and
again,
there's just nothing better than this.
he's putting hands in where there's strong loaders. He's basically cherry picking anecdotal rare evidence to make his point. To me, this is not a good video, other than them having that 10 there. That was not a good video. But once again, he had four hearts out there. But yeah, so I disagree with the idea. He only showed the hands where it really fit, where there were loners the way he needed them to be in that first hand where he got the euchre. I wish he would have showed all the video examples like he could have. But like I'm saying, passing all the time on C3, hoping your partner has something great, hoping you're not stepping into a hornet's nest, hoping they pick it up and you get a euchre. You're playing hope euchre, and your hopes and dreams can crash and burn on that type of euchre. 13 orders I did, and these are not. If you look at this one, I have ace, queen, 10, no jacks, and I have two suits. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, according to the point system. When I order this up, plus here's the thing too to look at. If it's not diamonds, the only other thing I'm decent in is spades. But my ace of spades is stronger as an offset than my ace of diamonds because there's one less. Because really, diamonds would be a terrible offset because I have three. One's going to dragon, so there's only two left. The jack, which is an offset, isn't good, and the 10. And if hearts are called, diamonds are junk. Let's see what happens here when I call this. 10 of diamonds led. I put my ace out to force out one. I get that trick. Ace makes it. I think I leave my 9 just in case. Hoping my partner trumps. Don't get that one. Got 2 diamonds left. I'd have to have extreme bad luck to get euchre. There's my point. And there I get a 4 trick. Once again, pretty easy. Here's the second example I have. I do have left ace king 2 suited. Once again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 points. I'm ordering the right here. Why am I ordering the right? Because I'm not great in clubs. I mean, yeah, hearts would work, but I know hearts are probably not getting called, so I'm going to order. And we'll see what happens. If my partner leads, I can at least force out that jack somewhere. I throw my queen because King, they're all equal right now, so I could have threw any of them. I got two tricks already. Leading my jack to promote my king, which is a smart move because I know I'm getting the trick back. My partner has the ace there, so yeah, I don't get a march, but I get my points. And these are ones that would go against what he says to call for sure. So yeah, you can call from these seats very safely. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and have a great day.